Alright, Fuad back here on Behind the Gloves with another interview. We've just wrapped up at the Katie Taylor weigh-in and with David Diamante. David, Crawler's last fight tomorrow night. How do you stay motivated and focused when you know that is the end of your career?
It's a funny question, man. It's a really good question, actually, because I'm trying to think if I ever can remember someone announcing their retirement before their fight. Usually it's after. So it's kind of like a sentimental thing, but it's funny. It's like, Frank Urquiaga is coming to win this fight. Now he doesn't have a lot of power. He's only got one knockout in his record, but he's coming to fight. And because Crawler's got in the rankings, if a win against Crawler, that's a great name on your CV. So he's looking for a come-up. He's coming to fight, and Crawler can't forget that. So great point. He's got to stay focused because it's really nice to shake hands and be happy with everybody, but this is a fight.
Looking back in his career, he's had some amazing nights, especially here in Manchester. You looking back into his career, what was your sort of, as a fan, favourite moment?
Well, I think everyone's moment was when he won the title against Darlis Perez. That was really, especially after the incident with the cinder brick and the robbery. And, Anthony Crawler is truly one of those good guys in boxing. It's the hurt business, but he's really a great guy. And, a lot of fighters are, but Anthony's truly a great guy. So it's a great night for Manchester, and I do believe that, of course, people are here to see Katie Taylor, people are here to see Felix Cash, people are here to see Kez Ashfaq, people are here to see Terry Harper. There's going to be people for everyone. Of course, Little Lever's crowd's going to be here, Jack Cullen's crowd. There's going to be all kinds of people coming out. Gamal Yafai, Dalton Smith, Hopi Price, all kinds of guys on this card. But I think it's Crawler's night.
Obviously, you just mentioned that Katie Taylor challenging for the super lightweight world title. As an analyst of boxing, would you want to see her, if she does come through on Saturday, unify the super lightweight division or move back down and face Pursoon in a rematch that a lot of the fans wanted?
Look, I think there's a lot of great fights for Katie Taylor. I'm not her manager, so we'll let them deal with that. She's really in a lot of good fights, so really anytime Katie steps in the ring, she's just breaking barriers. And this is a really interesting card because the fact that, first of all, Lina Datu is a really tough challenger. She punches hard, and I think Katie is not going to be able to stop her, but she's going to try to outbox her. I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday. The question is, will she be able to do it? Can she hold up to that power? And she did have a really tough time against Pursoon, and a lot of people do want to see that rematch, as do I. I would love to see it. That was obviously the fight that took place at Madison Square Garden. But what I wanted to say is just like Terry Harper, for example, from Doncaster, from Denby, she's the IBO super featherweight champion of the world. She's undefeated, and she's making noise right now in the female ranks, but she just met Katie the other day for the first time 2 days ago, and it was like this incredibly heartwarming scene, because she got into boxing because of Katie Taylor. She looks up to her like that, and so that to fight on her card, and she's a world champ, undefeated world champ, looking up to Katie Taylor like that, it's pretty amazing. So Katie really can't do too much wrong. She's a pretty special fighter. Breaking barriers, so
100%. And now just moving on this card, you named it the sleeper of the night, Cash versus Cullen. It's a great fight, but for the sort of more casual fans tuning in for the last two fights, why do they need to watch this fight?
Well, so there's a lot of kind of history with this fight. First of all, Jack Cullen, he's really tall for the weight. He comes from this town called Little Lever. He absolutely has the hands down best nickname in boxing, Little Lever's meat cleaver. But he's a tough fighter. It's funny because having all that height, he loves to fight inside. He doesn't fight tall, but he's kind of like an action fighter, and he had a really great outing at the O2. And this fight was originally supposed to happen in Manchester on that card that got canceled a number of months ago, and then Cash had an injury. So that the fight dropped out anyway, and then the card dropped out. So, but because he had that great outing in the O2, I think Matchroom decided he's worthy of this shot. And Felix Cash is just a really talented fighter. He's class. He's undefeated, a star amateur. He's got all kinds of titles at amateur. He's the reigning defending undefeated champion at Commonwealth at middleweight, and so he's a traveler, came up fighting. It's in his blood. They don't like each other. There's been a lot of jawing back and forth, and I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I really like this fight.
Exciting night tomorrow night at the Manchester Arena. Now, just moving on, last weekend we saw Josh Taylor become unified super lightweight champion, and straight away, obviously he got the notice that he deserved. Gervonta Davis came onto Twitter saying he would like to challenge Josh Taylor after this next fight at 135. Now, Do you think those are realistic talks? Because Gervonta Davis isn't exactly huge for 135 either, and he's talking about moving up to 140 to challenge Josh Taylor. Do you see that ever happening?
I think Taylor will spank him at 140 because he's just too big for him. I think Gervonta is an incredible fighter. He's a great fighter, but there's weight classes for a reason. I mean, take a look at Lomachenko, right? You know, he's stopping a lot of guys. He was being called Nomaschenko, then he moves up, stopping less guys, then he moves to 135. He's not stopping anyone. He's going the distance with all kinds of guys. Same with like Broner. You know, he was stopping a lot of guys early, moved up, finally at welter. He's not stopping anyone. It's just, it happens. Like, it's hard for guys. I mean, there's no doubt Gervonta has a lot of power. Gervonta's a really great fighter. I think he's the real deal. He's a hell of a fighter. I think Taylor's too big for him. That's the issue that I have with it. I think Taylor's too big for him. You know, I might be wrong. It's just how I look at it. Taylor's class. There's no doubt about it. It's a great fight if they were at the same weight. I just think Taylor's too big for him because I think, like you said, there's weight classes for a reason. I think he's better. I mean, I'd like to see him fight Lomachenko.
I was just going to ask that. Obviously, a lot of the fans do.
That would be great. I mean, obviously at 135, there's a lot of stuff happening right now at that division. But to me, like, Lomachenko's not going to move up. If anything, like, he's going to move down. So I want these fights to happen. I mean, I'd really like to see also Mikey Garcia. I mean, if you want to see another guy come into the mix, I mean, he moved from 135 up to 147. I think he's going to come down to 140. Again, it's that tweener division. That's where guys go on their way up from lightweight to welter. So I think there's a lot of good fights there. And Mikey Garcia is a really great fighter. I think he'd give fits to any of these guys. So, you know, obviously the real fight that I want to see at 140 would be Ramirez and Taylor. I'd like to see if we could get Garcia down to 135 to fight Lomachenko, or Gervonta Davis to fight Lomachenko. I think those are wonderful fights. I really love the Teofimo Lopez-Richard Commey fight. I think that's an incredibly good fight at lightweight. I fancy Lomachenko over either of those guys, but I think they're both great guys. And, you know, the Lopez-Commey fight's just a great fight. I just can't wait to see it.
100%. Exciting times in the boxing world. And as always, a pleasure to speak to you and hope to catch up with you soon. Cheers.
Well, thank you.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here, or else